Still on the topic of strings, we are looking at more methods in the string class, similar to how I walked you through in the previous session. On this one particularly, we'll be looking at methods you can use to compare strings and portions of strings. And starting from the top, we have string here, hello world. There's no space in between. We have this other one, hello. We have this one, hello world. We'll see the significance of this because this H and W are in capital letters, but this one isn't, so you'll get to see why in some of the methods that we have. And this is not used, but I've still included it, and you'll also see it in the GitHub link that I have shared in the description, because it's nice to have some fun later when you're practicing out on your own to try it out. Maybe replace some of these strings with this one instead. So let's get started with the first one. Is the ends with method. It's expecting a return type of boolean, so it's going to be true or false, and you pass in string suffix of what it's supposed to end with, what you're checking out for. So we are working with string 1, which is hello world, and on string 1 we are calling ends with and passing in world to confirm if indeed it ends with the word world. I can just also replace this with string 4, because string 4 is also world, and I expect that to be true because indeed string 1 here ends with the word world. So if I run this, I should see true. Now when I run this, all of the other results will be in the output. So I'll just walk you through step by step by highlighting the output, then later on you can have your own time to practice with it too and master these methods, or at least know where they are found. That's good enough. So ends with world, this is indeed true at this point. The next one is starts with, so we want to check if string 1 starts with hello, and indeed it does start with hello. Next method we have is starts with, but instead of passing just the prefix, we're passing the prefix and we are passing an offset. So when you use this, then it will start checking the prefix at a specified index. So we are dealing here with hello world. So when you work with to offset, it will start from a specific index. You'll start searching for the prefix from a specific index. For example, the word in question here, or the string in question here, is hello world here, and if you specify that you want it to start from this index, which is index 5, then it will start searching for that passed in word at from that index. So because, as you see, the word that is passed in currently is world, the mine here is in caps, all caps, but I can just show you like this. Yep, so the word that is currently passed in is world, right? And it's starting from index 5, so this should return true, and it has returned true. If I change that index to say 6, what should happen? You will see that it is false. Why? Because if it was to compare those characters from index 6, then there's some misalignment, and that's why. So play around with that. Stay tuned for more fun things that you can do, or more examples that you can work with, and try and think outside the box to how, in which context would you perhaps need to check out for what starts with, or what a string ends with, and so on. On to the next one, we have compare to. We pass in a string. It's expecting an int. Why does it expect an int? This is because of the ascasi factor, where A to Z is represented by 65 to 90, and A to Z small letters is represented by 97 to 122. So if it returns less 0, then it means the characters compared are equal. If it returns greater than 0, then it means the characters compared are the string that you're comparing with the other is greater than the other one. Then, for example, string 1 is greater than string 2. If it returns greater than 0, if it returns less than, then it means the string you're comparing with the other one is less than. So if you run that, you should get this here. So 0 means it's equal. Why? We are comparing string 1 to string 1, definitely. Then we are comparing string 1 to string 2, so we are getting a 5, which means string 1 has more letters than string 2. I'll just scroll back up to show you that string 2 is hello, so that's accurate. And then up next we have this one where we're getting a negative because we have switched it up in this point. So if you want to compare, you can work with that one. Then we have compare to ignore case, so it's case sensitive. You can practice with this to confirm. For example, if you're comparing string 1 to string 3, they are saying the same thing, but they have different case. So if you compare with without ignoring the case, this is what you will get. Yeah, negative 32, which means that string 1 is less than string 3 as per the ASCII here. Can do the math, but I made a point of also including the notes there. For example, 72 minus 104, then you get 32, negative 32. Then we have compare with ignore case, so that should give you 0, which means that they are equal because it has ignored the different in case. Up next we have equals. So as the name suggests, it just checks if something is equal to, and it turns boolean. So you might think, or rather you might see that the equals and the compare to kind of work the same way, but the difference is the return type. One returns boolean, true or false, and the other one returns integers. You can work with compare to, for example, if you need ordering. It entirely depends on what you're going for, but just know that you have that option. Plus later on when you're working with collections, some of the collection methods work with compare to, or utilize compare to for sorting in the background. Stay tuned for that. When you get to collections, perhaps I'll remember to mention it, perhaps not, but I've mentioned it in this case, so if you're curious you can just look it up. Then we have equals with ignore case, so that's just gonna return true, and as long as case is the only issue, like in this case. Next, region matches. So region matches expects you to pass in some parameters. I'll start with this one that doesn't have the ignore case. Ignore case is just as we've seen before. It tells the compiler that it should ignore the case, so the case wouldn't matter. But in this case, let me do this one because it's a simpler example. So this is what happens then when you call region matches on a string. In this case, you're calling region matches on string 1, represented by this row here. So when you call region matches on string 1, you're expected to pass one offset, so t offset. So t offset specifies the index on that string where the comparing or the match will be checked from. So in this case we are saying that this is where it's going to start, at index 5. Okay, then next it expects the other string. So in this case it's world, represented here, and then it specifies the offset of the other string, so other offset, and in this case it's 0. So I'll just show you here that 0 is where W starts from, so this is the offset, right, of the other. In fact, let me just show you. So this will be offset, so it's starting at 0, and this one is the len. So we're saying it should start checking this one from this bit 0, and then it should go up to 5 characters in length after that. So that's the way it will work. So what does this mean then? Since it has marked this is where it's gonna start from, and this is the word, it will take the word and then put that word comparing one by one. So let me just go and do it manually. Compare it one by one. So we have W O R L D, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is what it is all about here. Now the only difference is when you're working with ignore case, then this will return true, but if you don't work with ignore case, it will return false, which is what you're saying here. It's true if you're ignoring the case, it's false otherwise. It seems like it's a lot. You can just refer to it. Once again, there are reference links in the description, or you can rewind and review again what I've walked you through, but that's how it checks. And finally we have matches, and matches expects you to pass in a regex. and it will return true if the string that matches has been called on passes that. And indeed this one does, because it's an alphabet regex. And here we go, what the word we're checking is hello world, and it has passed the tests. So I included this region matches demo, which is also included in the official link. It walks you through more practical use cases of region matches. So we've covered loops before, use that knowledge to refresh on this. We've covered statements before, use that knowledge to check on this. I'll just show you an interesting thing on how the loop works at this point, but then later on you can have your own go at it. So this is a long one. The whole length is 18. The index is up to 17. You can even work with spreadsheets if that will help you remember or follow what's going on. And it's going to loop through. So at first it's going to start at 0 here, as you're seeing here, and it's looking for the word eggs. We also covered substring in the previous discussion, the one right before this, where it will work with the current iteration and the current iteration plus the total length that it's looking for, the find me length, which was declared at this point. So have fun with that, go through it, have a refresher with the loops, the statements, the break statements, and so on. And I'll see you on the next one.